You're very active in defending people's rights to have access to herbal medicine. Is that access getting more restrictive?
Um, no, there was a time in the 70s and 80s where there were some restrictions that were going on like that. Mostly herbs that FDA said should not be used for internal consumption. Sassafras, because it contains safrole, for example. Well, black pepper and basil contain safrole, but they're not telling us not to eat pesto and stuff like that, or black pepper. Um, so there was a 20-year period when things like that were happening. Most recently, ephedra was banned, and it should not have been banned as a traditional herbal medicine, in my opinion, or a traditional herbal supplement. Um, but there's a place where the industry and really abused it. They were using it for the wrong thing in the wrong way in the wrong amounts. Um, for example, they were using it in energy products, weight loss products, and fad products. That both categories are subject to a high level of abuse. If a little
Sure.
bit's more good, if a little bit's good, more is better. Plus, they were using very highly concentrated, purified ephedrine, um, um, synthetic or naturally derived ephedrine to spike these ephedra products so that people would feel a zing from it, and then they would go back to them. Um, and because of that, that causes problems. Now, the problems that were associated with the ephedra products were predominantly because of weight loss or energy, highly concentrated ephedrine products, not traditional ephedra products. And at first, FDA differentiated between the two and said, no, we're not really going to go after these traditional products. We don't think they're a problem. We really want to go after this abuse category. And then when the rubber met the road, they went after the whole category, and ephedra was banned. Um, I chalk that up to the mistake of the industry of supporting, of the responsible part of the industry of supporting the use of the ephedra in weight loss and energy products. It's an inappropriate use for the herb, and now literally one of the most effective herbs of Chinese medicine is lost, both to consumers and to traditional Chinese medicine practitioners who relied on it for the last 3,000, 3,500 years. As far as now, I was having a conversation with somebody here on the floor in one of the lectures yesterday, who we were talking about how kava also disappeared, and kava disappeared for much of the same reason. There were a few case reports that were documented of potential hepatotoxicity, very little evidence of true causality except in a very minor few cases. Compared to the millions of daily doses that are sold and used in Europe as like the #1 anti-anxiety herb throughout the European Union. So it was basically, even though FDA didn't officially ban it, because of the potential problem, most companies didn't want to take on the liability, so that disappears. So there's different reasons why we might lose access to an herb. One might be like FDA banning ephedra, and another might be that the insurance companies won't provide product liability insurance for something like kava that has a risk, or you have to have $110,000 a year extra supplementary, policy if you're going to sell kava. And the gentleman I was talking to he's a toxicologist, and he said, yeah, there's no reason why kava should have ever been taken off the market based on the evidence that was there. It was predominantly by innuendo. And when you extrapolate that out, if they can take ephedra, or we can lose access to an herb like kava, both of which have great safety records, and actually on the ephedra side, they maintain the ephedrine products and Sudafed products that were on the OTC market, and they're not yielding any more or any less ephedrine than a traditional Chinese product. But they took they took the traditional products, said you can't use them, but we're going to keep our drugs. And they specifically said, because we know they're safe. So even though the same amount in OTC is safe, it's not safe to use in a traditional Chinese herbal product. So that's a problem. And if the herbs can be taken away on such flimsy evidence, either by FDA ruling or by insurance not covering, or physician or consumer fear, there's a lot of herbs that are at risk. Black cohosh came up recently as a potential hepatotoxin. Again, huge herb, but the Canadian government actually was very smart, and they said, okay, let's look at the reports and let's test the products, and they found that those products weren't associated with Actaea racemosa, which is really North American black cohosh, but were other herbs from China. So it wasn't black cohosh, but black cohosh gets implicated by inference because of, and this goes to the quality control, because of poor quality control on the part of the companies making the products.